Hi guys, welcome to another Tech Tips 411 session here. Super excited to talk about collaboration tools. Thank you if you're joining me live. Let me know that you're here by dropping your name in the chat and where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching this from the future, thank you for tuning in. Fingers crossed we don't have any technical issues like we did yesterday. Unfortunately, that was not fun with the power outage and the internet going down, but fingers crossed, not going to happen today. So let's go ahead and get to it. So today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite collaboration tools. So when we talk about collaboration tools, I'm talking about all sorts of things that allow your students to work together on activities. So we definitely want to have that, foster that, but it can be really challenging doing that through distance learning. We still don't know what it's going to look like when we start back in the fall. So I want to talk about some ways that you can use this to engage your learners. So for those of you that just stumbled across this video and you don't know me, my name is Jen and I'm an educational technology specialist with Atlanta Public Schools. And what that means is I provide technology training for teachers and I push into classrooms and work with students. And my goal is to help teachers create engaging lessons using instructional technology effectively in their standards-based lessons. So thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this session. So our goals for today are to explore apps and tools to foster collaboration. And then we're going to hopefully gain some ideas for using collaboration tools with asynchronous as well as synchronous learning experiences. That's the goal. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first tool I want to talk about, and the way I'm going to do it this time is I'm actually going to kind of just hop into each of the tools and show you where the collaboration features are in case you're not familiar with them, and just kind of talk about some ideas that you might want to use. So the first tool, and I've talked a lot about Jamboard this summer and leading up to the end of the school year, because it's probably become one of my favorite tools because it's an interactive whiteboard and it has a lot of purposes and a lot of ways you can use it with your learners. So let's go ahead and hop in here and take a look at a Jamboard example. So this is actually an activity that I created for a summer camp that's happening in a couple weeks for nutrition. So the idea was, hey, let's create an activity because the campers are used to coming and participating live with their campers and counselors, and now it's turned into a cooking demo virtually, and then let's try and get them actively engaged. So we came up with this activity called Let's Get Saucy, because the lesson is going to be about 3 different sauces that they can create and use different types of pasta. But also, once you've made the pasta sauce, what could you use that sauce on for other meals? So we created this Jamboard activity here, which has some kind of some images here, but because it's in Jamboard, what's going to happen is for this activity, we'll just easily click this share button and we can actually get a link to share this out. So if I want to choose who has access to it, I can copy that link and I can share that out. And in doing so, that means that I can share it with kids inside a Google Classroom or however else you're connecting with your learners and let them participate. And this becomes an activity where they need to each add to it. So they can drop a sticky note on here and add their ideas of ways that they could use that sauce that they've created. So now it went from just a demo lesson to being something that actively they've engaged in. And since it's collaborative, they're going to see everybody else's responses and they can work together on this task. So, and what's great about Jamboard is I can have multiple pages. And when I add multiple pages, I can actually have more space for them to work. So you could actually pair them up in teams and say, all right, I need team 2 to fill up page 2 with all of their ideas. The same with page 3, page 4, and so forth. So definitely a cool way to actively engage your learners using Jamboard. So one of the things I like about Jamboard is that I can add in all different elements. There's that sticky note. I can add in images. But one of the things you can't really do is you can't just type text and put the questions on there without it being a sticky note. So my hack for that is using cool text. We actually created this little logo here, and then I actually typed out my questions. So this is actually an image that I can move around, and the text is not going to get messed up. So that's Jamboard. And if you're not familiar with Jamboard, I've done a couple of sessions on Jamboard. I'm going to put links in the description for you to check out Jamboard so you can play around with it. My math teachers used it a lot for their interactive lessons because they were solving a problem and then they could share that link in their Google Classroom and be like, all right, now and have a particular student call them out and say, all right, Jennifer, it's your turn. Go ahead. And I want you to solve that problem that's on slide number 2. And we can see it happening pretty much in real time, which is pretty cool. So since it's collaborative, super easy to share, you want to definitely check that one out. All right. And again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Please let me know where you're tuning in from so I know who's watching. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat so I can answer them live while I'm here. So the next tool I want to talk about that has great collaboration options is Wakelet. And if you're not already writing the Wakelet wave, you definitely want to be. So Wakelet is a content curation tool. And I've got an entire session on Wakelet if you've never heard of Wakelet or you've heard of it and you don't know what to do with it. So right now I'm just going to show how you collaborate with it. But if you really want to do a deeper dive and learn all about Wakelet, I would suggest that you check that out. I'll put the link in the description of this as well. So here I've logged into Wakelet and I want to be able to collaborate. So I'm working on a session. Tomorrow I'm going to be presenting about AR and VR at a conference. And so what I could do is I've got all these resources already. I've started adding to them. But what I can do is I can choose to invite collaborators, which means that now as a teacher, I could start off with something and then share it out and be like, all right, everybody add your suggestions to our Wakelet collection. And it's very simple you can invite collaborators. If you give them this link or this code, they have editing rights and they can add to it. This is what's cool though. Wakelet was smart about this. You can actually add to a collection as a contributor, but you can't delete anything else, which means for students, I don't have to worry about, oh, they're going to go in and take out somebody else's assignment. So an example of how this was used recently, one of my engineering CTAE teachers was having the students work virtually on their coding projects. And then they decided, well, we want to collaborate. We want to be able to pull them all together so I can look at all of them in one place and they would be easily accessible. Now, technically you could post them in Google Classroom, but then you would have to go in and click on every single link separately. So we came up with the idea of taking a Wakelet collection and giving students the opportunity to contribute. So what they did was they added in their coding project, and then they could see each other's. The nice thing was they could add in. They could only edit their own contribution to the Wakelet collection. So I think that's really cool because if you worry about, that's one of the things about collaborative tasks is sometimes you worry about whether or not your students are going to mess with anybody else's work. So that's a really cool option to use Wakelet. And again, super easy to invite a collaborator right here. So for example, I've got, let's go back here. I got a couple other ones. So I started on this HyperDoc 5e model. And if you're not familiar with HyperDocs, it's a super cool concept of using Google Docs to create engaging packaged lessons with everything that they need in it. So I took that and leveled it up and put it in a HyperDoc. So what I can do here is I could say, hey, I started on this template, but I want somebody else to add to it. Again, easy to share that, invite them as a collaborator. For example, one of my schools was wanting to have a template. And I got this super great question right here. I see my friend Nick tuning in there. Hey, Nick, guess what? Is Wakelet free? Yes, Wakelet is free, which is my favorite price. Wakelet is free to everyone. And so you definitely want to check it out. So especially when it's a free tool, there's no, you don't want to miss out, at least try. And it does have so many integrations, including the ability to use Immersive Reader. And that's probably one of my favorite things. So here we go. Easy peasy to share out a Wakelet collection and have someone contribute to it. So that's number 2. Let's take a look at a couple other options here. So next up, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the power of using Google Slides for collaboration. Bobby says she loves HyperDocs. I do too. And HyperDocs is a very powerful concept in terms of differentiation. But if you take that concept and use Wakelet with it, and you've got Immersive Reader built in, to me, it levels it up even more and makes content even more accessible for our diverse learners. So if we look at our Google Slides here, so you might be like, okay, everybody knows you can collaborate in Google Docs and Slides and so forth, which is true. And I think it's such a seamless tool to use for collaboration because it's real time and you can see who's in your document. But one of the ways I like to use it is I actually like to use a template. And this is actually old school paper chat, but I did it as a digital tool. So how many of you have participated in a PD session where they put up the 4 pieces of paper around the room, and you had to go here and answer a question and here and answer a question, and you made your way around the room. And usually you would have a question before the session, like, what do you already know? Or kind of like those starter thinking questions. And then you'd have to circle back around after you've engaged in content. So oftentimes teachers use that same concept in a classroom, but two things this can be challenging. One, with virtual learning, obviously we're not doing that. So we want to take it virtual, and this is a way to do it. Option two is sometimes it can be a little challenging when you have 25 bodies up and moving around the room. Even though we want them to have that activity, it can get a little bit chaotic depending on your classroom management and just your kiddos in your room. So this way I can use the same concept of a paper chat, and I post the question. So I put my statement. So I've got 4 slides here. So statement 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And I've indicated a box here. So a student can claim a box. If you need to number them based on the fact that your students need that direction, you could do that as well. But I'm going to do my first walk at the beginning of my session. I'm going to say, all right, everybody's going to contribute in your own little box. Perfect. Then what's going to happen is you're going to, after you've engaged in your new content, you've had your lesson, you're going to circle back. But now you're going to use the collaboration option of, now everybody can see the responses, but I can also use the commenting tool. So I can go in here and I can add a comment for that circle back. So I can go back to my original comment, and I can add in a comment about, oh yes, I'm rethinking, or actually what I learned reaffirmed what I already knew. And as a partner in my class, I can go in here and go, hey, I want to go ahead and comment on my friends. I agree with them. I want to do a +1. I want to comment. That's exactly right. So now this has become one living document where I'm tracking what students are doing because I can see who's in the document, and I can use that commenting feature in there. Now it's collaborative. Okay. I love it. Mary says, I love this for lit responses. Yes, this is a great opportunity for you to have your students respond to any text you're encountering. But this would work for any subject area. So I saw that Nick was on here. Nick's a math teacher. So when he's encountering new content, he might want to say, hey, what do you already know about X, Y, and Z? And have them respond to that question, and then have them revisit their thinking after the lesson. So great. Awesome. Love it. So this is a template. I have several templates that you can get this. I'm going to put the link in the description, and you can just modify it as you see fit. This is based on the SOS strategies from Discovery Education. The spotlight on strategies are just quick, easy to use strategies to use with digital media. But I've created some Google templates that allow you to take it to the next level with those concepts. So technically you could do this old school paper, but now that we're looking at virtual learning, we want to be able to have this collaborative opportunity and use the tools. So I do have a number of other templates, and those are available, and I will share out the link to those templates. You are welcome to check them out. So I got 4 corners, 6-word story. To me, this is one of my favorites. The idea that students have to write a 6-word story about what they learned, or maybe kind of like, what do you already know? Let's see, and then have them rewrite their story after they've learned some new information. So several different templates that are on there, and definitely check those out, and you can use those. So that's using the power of Google Slides. You can do the same thing with Docs. You can even do it with Sheets if you want to use a spreadsheet for a grid for the students to respond in a graph or chart. Super easy to do. So let's take a look. What's next? And if you have any questions, again, drop them in the chat, or if you have any comments and something you like, or you're like, ooh, I have a question about that, or I'd like to see more, please let me know. So yesterday I did an entire session on Adobe Spark tools, which was super fun. And I would be remiss if I did not include it in my list of tools that are great for collaboration. So yesterday, if you didn't get to see it, you can check it out, the archive, but I came up with, I shared a number of projects you can do using Adobe Spark tools, which includes a video tool, a post tool, which is like doing infographics or social media posts, or you could use the page option, which is creating a website basically. So those 3 tools are awesome, but what's even better is they're super slick and easy to use for collaboration. So that means you can have one student be the person that's like the team captain that starts the project and then shares it with their colleagues. So let's take a look at Adobe Spark. So I already logged into my account, and if you're not familiar with Adobe Spark, like I said, I did an entire session on it yesterday. Please check that out. But I really just want to focus on the ability and how easy it is to share resources and share projects. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to choose to create a project. And for this purpose, let's make a collage. All right. So it's all the magic is happening, and I can choose my photos, or I'm just going to grab some photos that they've offered. I wish I was going traveling here. These are unsplash photos. I wish I was going traveling here. I wish I was going traveling. Oh, trees. I miss traveling. For those that know me, I'm an avid traveler, and not getting to go out in the world right now is not fun. But that's all right. We'll be back there soon. So I'm going to choose that I want this to be a square because I did a 4x4. And I'm just going to dump in. But maybe I wanted to work with my teammate, and I'm like, okay, I added my favorite 2 photos, and you need to add your 2 favorite photos for our presentation that we're going to do for class. So the cool thing about Adobe Spark is it is one free, favorite price. So there's a freemium version as well. So if you want to pay to upgrade to be able to put your own brand in there, so it doesn't say Adobe Spark, because you'll notice on the very bottom down here, it puts their little logo. If I want to remove it, I can upgrade, but I'll be honest, I'm okay with it saying that. And for student projects, it's fine. So I put my 4 photos in there, but maybe I decide that I want to share this and actually have my colleague work with me. All I got to do is go up here and hit this plus, and I can add somebody by just emailing them. So whatever email they have, they'll log into their account, whether they're using Microsoft or Google. Either one works for you to log in and access this. So I can easily add someone to my post and have them work on it. So for a project like this, you would say, hey guys, I'm going to have team captains, and each of the team captains would be the person responsible for starting the project and then sharing it with their colleagues. And there's so many cool different objects. So I'm going to go different options in here. We're going to save that one right there. So I did some different projects. There's that one. Yesterday we played with a podcast. I've got different ones. I've got summer PDs, different things like this. But what's cool is I can go up here and see projects. If I list them here, it's going to show me my projects and anything shared with me. So kind of like that Google Drive option where you go to shared with me to see who has shared a project with you. So I actually did this. And what's cool is I was able to, these are projects that I shared from my Tech Tips 411 Gmail to my APS account. So that means that you can have it in either of the accounts and share them. So such a cool option, and very easy to use that collaboration option for projects, whether it's creating a video, whether it's creating an infographic, or creating a web page. Because I think all of those options or all of those tools are great for creating content from students and for them to demonstrate their mastery. So that's Adobe Spark. And again, if you're not familiar with Adobe Spark, I did a deep dive into it yesterday, and I'll put the link in the description at the bottom here after this session, so you can go back and check it out if you want to do a deeper dive. But a lot of people didn't realize it was collaborative. The cool thing is there are also mobile apps, so you can access those resources. Because it's cloud-based, you can access your projects anywhere. So the next one I want to talk about, and I got to say, I'm kind of excited because I had a training yesterday as part of for my department on Book Creator, and I'm in love. I love Book Creator right now. It's pretty cool. Is anyone else using Book Creator? I'm just curious. I even told the trainer from Book Creator yesterday that I'd always assumed Book Creator was really for elementary school, not to shade elementary school, but it was kind of like, oh, that's for younger kids. It's creating books. Until I really dove in and saw how powerful it is of a tool to create digital portfolios and interactive books. So let's take a look at Book Creator and see how easy it is for you to add somebody to a book. So I started my little book here, and most people probably didn't pay attention that when you go to share, one of your options here is to add collaboration. Okay. So if I choose that and I say I want to go to collaboration here, it's going to say anyone in my library. So I've already shared it with them. So now I can also go up here and give an invite code. So anyone, and how it works is, and I know that my friend Nick's going to ask the question, is Book Creator free? There's a free version, and then there's as you move up in tier, you've got some more options. And really what it is the ability to create more books and have more libraries. So a library, your free version comes with 1 library and 40 books. So technically you could have 1 book per student, but since they're collaborative, you really could have the kids work on sections in a book. Like you're responsible for the first 5 pages in a book, and then you kind of get more, you'd be able to access and create more books using Book Creator. And the other thing is with that 1 library, you can have multiple classes as part of that 1 library. Everybody's collecting it. And if you archive a book, then it doesn't count against you. And you get 40 books on the free version. And then you can move up to the next tier and you can have like 3 libraries. So maybe a library per class. But super, super easy to use. But now I can go up here and say, all right, with this invite code, and we're going to try this because we got a couple of folks here. Because I'll turn it off after, because it says keep this code safe and don't share it on social media. I'm going to share it with you guys because I trust you guys real quick. in case somebody wants to hop in and add to the book. So I'm going to paste it right here. But the nice thing is I can expire that code, which means nobody can get into it after. So I'm going to drop it in here for a minute in case somebody wants to hop in and see how easy it is to join this library. So, for example, when I was in my training yesterday, he just dropped that code in and now I'm able to see those books. So I'm going to go in here and edit this and notice I've got all these pages. There's my nifty little cover. Of course, my Genmoji had to be in there. And then I've got all these options. And this is where I think it's super powerful is I can import just about anything. I can search Google Images. So now I can make this an interactive activity by bringing in images based on whatever content I'm studying. So to me, this is something that's going to work for ELA, science, social studies, foreign language, just about anything. I mean, even PE and health, if you're doing a health and fitness study project, they could create a book about what's good for your health. We got somebody on here that's the lit teacher. This would be great for you to do, like, you know, collect your favorite authors, a book about authors. So I can go in here and add all these elements. And what's really cool is you can even embed. So I was playing around and I was toying with the idea of taking all of my PDs I'm doing and streaming, and I'm going to make a book of my PDs. And you can embed, using the embed code from YouTube, embed videos directly in, which is super cool. So it makes it an interactive book. So other options here is that I've got all these panels, speech, thought, text. So I'm going to go here to another page here so we don't mess up my nifty little cover there. And I can add in any of these elements. So speech bubbles, thought bubbles. As a formal ELA teacher, this is great because I'm now talking about, okay, what's going on, character motivation, what is, you know, let's talk about theme. I can bring in images that to describe the imagery that you're using in the text that you're reading. And right here, my friend Bobby says, yes, Book Creator is powerful. Yes, it's super. Again, I admit before I was like, really, maybe. I'm all in, and I'm like, I'm going to be getting my teachers to use this because I really think it's an option, a great tool. And the fact that it's so easy to collaborate, and you as the teacher, because you've generated the book and you can share it out with your students, I can go in and monitor my students' work as they're working. So notice I can add in text, so I can do it any of these comic book styles. I can add in stickers, and who doesn't love stickers? Like, boom, stickers are awesome. Okay. And then I can go up here, and this is the cool stuff that I just learned about with Book Creator, is that I can add in images and I can move things front to back and all that good stuff. I can look at the page. But how about this? This was super cool. This is inspecting the elements. But if I go here and I choose under media, under pen, you've got all these drawing options. So for kids that are really artistic, they can draw and create their own images for their books. So now it really could be truly their own original comic book or graphic novel. And if they're using iPads, because there's an iPad app, you can easily draw and annotate on that. So, but I want to check down here, and I'm going to pick this, which I thought this was super cool. This is the auto draw. If you're like me and you can't draw, really, I can't. I'm going to use the auto draw. And this is the auto draw like Google has. So I started to draw and it's like, oh, did you mean this? I did. Thank you very much. Thank you for fixing it. Nancy says, is it supported on mobile devices? Yes. Great question. Yes. Book Creator does have an iPad app. Yes. And it originally started as an iPad app, and then they built in the ability to work on it on your Chrome browser, which is really, really cool. So look at that. I did that. I drew that. I'm terrible. Oh, but I could have been trying to draw a dolphin thing, it seems. So this auto draw thing is super cool. The other thing that is really cool, let's go out of this, is that I can also go in here and choose my colors. And when I choose my colors, let's go here. I'm going to get my paint bucket. I can fill. Hold on here. I'm going to get out of the black ink. Oh, look at this. Magic ink. This one blew my mind yesterday. I was like, what? As I'm coloring, it's changing colors. How cool is that? The fact that it has those options. So this reminds me, if you're a OneNote user and you can use the magic ink, how cool is this? Oh, glitter. I did not like glitter when I was in the classroom as a teacher because glitter got everywhere, but glitter when you're drawing, super cool. And I can use this nifty little undo button and take away my terrible options here. So those are just some of the features that are inside of Book Creator. But again, the fact that we can add folks in here. Let's see here. I got another third page. Did somebody hop in? Not yet. I was hoping somebody hopped in. But lots of cool features on this. But the fact is you can, because it's got page numbers up here, I can assign each kid a page and they can work on it, or they could be partnered up and be like, all right, we're going to design and work on page 2 of our 5-book project. Nancy, I'm going to be honest. I'm not positive about Android, but I'm going to double check that. I want to say yes. The reason I know it's on iPads is because we have iPads for our first and second graders. And so Book Creator was added for that for sure. I'm not positive. Maybe somebody that's here with us knows the answer to that question. Do you guys know, is there an Android app for Book Creator? Anybody know? I'm just going to pose the question out there into the ether and see if anybody knows. And if not, I'm going to follow up on that for you, Nancy, and see what we can find out. Great question, though. All right. So let's take a look at our next tool. How many of you guys are like, I didn't really ever think about Book Creator, but now I'm kind of excited about it? Anybody? All right. So I just think it's a powerful tool. Like I said, I dove in for training yesterday and I had to throw it in as one of my tools today, just because I think it's super cool. All right. So let's take a look. What do we got next? Sway. Has anyone used Sway before? When I introduce Sway to students, I always say that Sway is PowerPoint on steroids. Because as a former ELA teacher, my students would spend, I don't know about you, they spend so much time on the bells and whistles of transitions. Like, I want this to come in exactly this time. And and I'm like, that's cool, but I'd really, really much prefer if you focused on the content. Just saying. So if we focus on the content, we're good to go. So Sway is free at office.sway.com. The links to all these resources I'm talking about today are going to be in the description. But what's cool about Sway is, again, it is PowerPoint on steroids, because really it's allowing you to add content and do it in a visual way. And it has a collaboration option. And what was interesting, just read on Twitter today, gotta love social media, they've built in, if you're working on a Microsoft Office document now, there's now an option to actually push it directly into a Sway to create a presentation. My thinking on that is, how great is that for planning? Let your students work in a Microsoft doc, in Microsoft Word, and be planning out what they want their content to be before they even get into the design phase. All right, so let's take a look here at one example, and then we'll talk about, we're going to refresh it. Let's see here, updates, because I made a change earlier. Oh, of course I've got to sign in again. I had everything logged in, ready to go, but there we go. It's thinking magic has happened. Oh yeah, don't laugh. We have security measures now. Oh my goodness, it logged out. Oh, let's see here. Y'all are seeing the real deal behind the scenes there. I was logged in, but it took me, I logged out for a minute, and there we go. Now we're back in. All right. So if I take a look at this one that I've created on EdTech Tools, and basically this kind of reminds me of Wakelet in the sense of, I can have this linear list and have these visual cues. So this is actually a group stack, but here's where the important thing is up here. And a lot of people don't pay attention to it. When you go to share, one thing is to share it with your teacher when you turn it in, but better yet, I can invite people not just to view it, but to edit it. So I worked with an AP seminar class, and they had to create their presentations for AP seminars. So one of the things that the teachers were like, we want them to do something other than just PowerPoint or Google Slides. So I introduced this, and they were like, oh, this steps it up. They were able to create some engaging presentations. But what they do is, one person is going to be the lead, just like with a Google Slide presentation or another project. You're going to say, hey guys, or in Adobe, one person is the team captain. They're responsible for making the project and sharing it out. So once I do this, if I share this link, I can require people even to log in, but I can send this link to somebody and say, hey, you now have access to it. So I can copy that and share it out. And the advantage of that is, let's take a look at one of the ones that I've got in here already, so you can see kind of what Sway looks like. And the kids really like Sway. When we did Sways for Tales from Your Hood, Your Neighborhood, kids had to do a presentation at the beginning of the year about where they lived. It was a language arts project, and they were able to embed in like Google Maps and show where they lived, and then do a little text and explain all of that. So, and Sway lives actually inside of your Office 365 account, if you didn't know that. People probably were like, I have no idea what that is. So let's go in here, and I was working on this one. As you can see, I can put in banners, logos, text, emojis, embed social media posts. This is really, really cool. So it's a great way to capture everything. But I'm going to go up here and hit play. And now you see I'm in presentation mode. So it has a totally different look and feel. But what I can also do is go under settings. I can choose autoplay. This is really good for students if you're doing like the AP seminar kids. They had to do their presentation in a certain amount of time. And if you set it, that means that it's going to automatically change quickly. So that way you're practicing those skills. I can also change it from being what they call a default, which is that linear moving down a page, or I can have it be vertical, or I can have it be side by side like a book. So you have different layouts versus a PowerPoint. It's literally just one thing on the screen at a time. Okay. So you definitely want to take a look at Sway if you haven't done so before. I think it's a super slick tool for your kiddos to use. And again, because they're the ones that create it, they can share it with you. You can make it a requirement if you're using Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. Guys, go ahead and give me the link to your Sway so you can just pop in and monitor them as they're working on their projects, especially if they're working on group tasks. I see Christina says you've never heard of it before. I'm thinking you're referring to Sway. What do you think? Does it look pretty cool? Is it something you want to investigate now? I'm just curious. Awesome. Awesome. So those are my tools that I just wanted to highlight, and the fact that there's really collaboration built into them in some ways you might want to use it with your students. That was the goal for today. So just a handful of tools. I could go on and on. There's some other tools I'll be highlighting on some upcoming sessions, but our goals were to explore apps and tools to foster collaboration. Boom. I think we did that. Did you gain some ideas for using collaboration tools with synchronous and asynchronous learning? The goal is here, things that you can have the students work with you real time, or they're working on it on their own or with their teams, and then you're coming back together to look at their products. So questions, comments, thoughts. I'm going to give a moment for you guys to drop any questions or comments you might have in the chat. I'd love to know what you thought. Did you learn something? Are you kind of excited? Do you have a new tool that you want to explore? That's what I'm curious to know. For those of you that are stumbling upon this video and you haven't already checked out my website, Tech Tips 411 has a number of resources, EdTech tips and lesson plan ideas that you can check out at techtips411.com. So please do take a look at that. And if you're not already signed up for my weekly Tech Tips 411, please do so. The 7th edition will start up at the end of July as the school year ramps back up here in Atlanta. So please go ahead and sign up. If you are one of my teachers at my school, you don't have to sign up, because guess what? You automatically get it every Tuesday morning. If you haven't already connected with my Facebook page, I've got a couple of people tuning in live from Facebook. Miss Ortegon has tuned in from I Love the Book Creator. I think your kids would like this, and I think it'd be really cool for you to do a project for your world language students using Book Creator. So if you have any questions, let me know. We can definitely plan that lesson. Super excited about seeing what you could do with that with your students. Some of you are already tuning in live on my YouTube channel. If you are watching from Facebook, you can find all the archives both on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can go back and find quick tips and tutorials if you are interested in that. Oh, Bobby, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Tech Tips 411 is awesome. It's a labor of love that I started 6 years ago when I started this job, and it's just kind of been an ever-growing labor of love. But I love it because there's all sorts of great stuff. The other thing is you can get everything that's on my site pretty much in the palm of your hand. If you want to grab my mobile app, please do that. Check that one out. So I did want to point out that I do have a couple more sessions coming up, and those would be, let's take a look. This week, tomorrow, I'm not going to be going live because I'm actually going to be presenting for a digital learning conference all day. So I'm super excited to do that. But I will be returning with the 2 p.m. Live stream on Friday with apps for the 4 C's. Also, I will be talking about Office 365 tips and tricks. Next week is the last week of this series. I've got screen recording tools, and I'm super excited to talk about those. We're going to dive into video creation tools on Wednesday. talk about creating with Canva, which is also one of my new favorite things. And then we're going to end this series with there's a Bitmoji for that. So super excited to share those sessions with you. So hopefully you can join me for one, if not all. And if you can't join me live, guess what? They're all archived on YouTube and also available on the Facebook page as well. So thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate your time and energy and effort in checking this stuff out. If you did find this session beneficial, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Let me know. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so I know that you are checking it out. And I would definitely love, I love it. Nancy Long said, what's next? That's what's next. We got a few things, but go ahead and hit that. So wait, there you go. Hit that. You like my new little animation? I was kind of excited. I've been playing around with some new stuff. So each day, hopefully I'm trying to jazz up these live sessions a little bit more and have them be kind of fun. So definitely check that out. I super appreciate you guys. You guys rock. And I will see you guys on the next one. Appreciate it.